Hello, my fellow NationStaters. Welcome to the showcase of another NationStates Let's Build a Car Together engine build. It's the build of the engine for the Mk7 version of the tread, and it's supposed to be a 1988 engine for an executive car or a full-size car if you live on the uncivilized side of the Atlantic. Unfortunately, this build is lacking that half, since the engine would be a flat or boxer engine, whatever you wanna call it. But imagine this part has another part like this here, except for this bit, because that would be the bit shared by the engine, and bits like this, no, not this, but the ECU, which is back there. This is the ECU. Will be shared. But anyway, let's go to the mechanics. The engine is an inline 4, despite being meant to be an inline 8. Not an inline 8. An inline 8, I can only dream of that. A flat 8 with an aluminum block, and it's a 1.35 liter engine, because it's supposed to be half of a 2.7 liter engine. It's got a single overhead camshaft. Actually, it's got two single overhead camshafts, so it's actually double, but double overhead camshaft is different design, so some specialist terms can be misleading. And it's got 2 valves per cylinder, an aluminum head, and no VVT or VVL. It's got a billet steel crankshaft, I-beam billet steel conrods, and gas pistons. Yeah, that's kind of a discrepancy, and no, that's not the right word, like dissonance. Oh, it's a low compression motor because it's supposed to run on 86 octane gas, which is pretty crap. They have better gas in Russia, which is something. It's got cam profile that's pretty low because the engine is supposed to have good fuel economy, but also can run on low octane fuel. Blue heads show how eco-friendly it is. This build has no aspiration, but this is because we're having the demo, and even if I had the full version, I wouldn't have a turbocharger. But the engine would have a large, high-power supercharger about here, a big one, like this big, I think. It would all be like half of the size of the whole engine. But nevertheless, let's go to the fuel system. It's got multi-point fuel injection with per cylinder throttle bodies. Maximum power 998 horsepower. This thing isn't even close. A standard air intake. And I've made it run on 91 octane gas, but this is because the lower quality is 80, so I just set it up to use only 86 octanes. It's got a pretty lean fuel to air mixture, but it's a fuel economy build, so don't expect too much. And quite average in ignition timing. Plus, it revs up to 6,500 RPM, which isn't that bad. And if it revved higher, it would be unnecessary, since the engine's power would actually decrease with the higher revs. Its torque, mass, etc. Oh, actually I forgot to adjust the exhaust size, so you can look how I work with adjusting the exhaust size. First, I look at that menu that shows how the engine works. Will it run better with a smaller exhaust? Yes. Even smaller? Yes. And no, 1 inch is too small. So we are at 1.25 tubular exhaust, and the full build would have twin exhausts But since we're looking at half of the engine, we're only having one pipe, which is understandable. And it has a carburetor. Not a carburetor, catalytic converter. I just can't speak today. The actual engine would have exhaust gas recirculation, not a catalytic converter, but I decided to stick one in. And it's got reverse flow mufflers. So, despite having a huge supercharger, it would be no sports car since it doesn't have the sports car sound. And let's go to the data from the dynamometer. Another blunder. I should count those. I should put a counter on the screen in the left upper corner that shows number of word blunders, like 69, 420, some sort of a massive number. But here we have the dyno data. It's got 95.7 Nm of torque. So the actual engine with the supercharger would have like, let me think, 350, which equals to something around 235 foot-pounds of torque, if you're from the uncivilized side of the Atlantic. And 67 horsepower, so the full thing would have about, let me think, 230 to 240, quite a lot of power. Well, not that much, but still it would be about as impressive in the 80s as 400 horsepower is right now, and the fuel consumption is quite low. And we've got low fuel consumption, as I told you. Revs told you. It's not too responsive, but it's kinda okay. It's quiet, very cultured, average reliable, but it doesn't need too much cooling, and it would be quite low. Service costs are a bit high, and would be really high in the real car, but hey, you have low fuel economy. You save something, but you have to pay for something. As we say in Poland, there are no free dinners. But the engine, well, the full thing would be a bit expensive. But it's an engine with a lot of redeeming features. And let's have the final listen to it. That can't be longer than 40 seconds due to issues with me having not enough disk space. So, start up. Rev up. Oh, now my computer is overheating. Thank you, my bloody computer. Oh crap, and now my antivirus software. And I'm running out of disk space, so for next time, goodbye. It's been Carl Overs, next automation engine build. Goodbye.